Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation, joined once again by Lane. Except Lane will be debuting an army that we have not seen on the channel today or ever. Nothing in 9th, nothing in the previous games. Imperial Knights. Thank you for bringing these guys out here.
Sure. They haven't been on the table for a long time. I haven't actually played them since 8th edition. I didn't play them at all in 9th. And I originally started into the Knights just as allies to some of my other armies.
Right.
And as you can tell by the paint, you'll probably be able to guess which Imperial army I've been allying them with. But
Adeptus Mechanicus.
you know what? Back in 8th edition, there was an Imperial Knight and the Rusty 17, and then my Death Watch or my sisters. Yeah. So
the Rusty 17. Haven't heard that in a while. For those who don't know, basically, we would try to maximize how many command points we got by taking more battalions, taking more detachments. And one of the cheapest options was AdMech, taking 3 5-man squads of Rangers and 2 characters, and boom, there's your 17 guys.
I can't even think about it. I'm just trying to process 10th. Don't bring 8th into this, DJ.
And also, you could generate a lot of command points out of it, which that was the era with that and Guardsmen and Imperial Knights with the Castellan that created the one command point per turn rule. Because at that time, there was the Guard
farm.
Yes, where you start the turn with 4 CP, you end with 6, and you played 5 stratagems. It was insane.
Horror stories about people spending 30, 35 command points throughout a game. So we're not doing that. Nope, we start with 0.
Yes, exactly. But moving into, a little bit of information. First, number 1, I got to give my tag. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do. Turn on the bell for notification. Get notified with more videos in the series, including the post-game wrap-up. And a lot more of our practice as we get ready to go to Columbus. Segue there, Columbus. So, got to throw a couple rules out here of what is going to be going on in Columbus. So, when anyone would watch this battle report and go, why are you not shooting at that? Why didn't you hit that? No, Lane is not terrible at 40K. He is restricted into this one. So Columbus GT that we're going to, even with the nerfs. GT. What was the name?
Arch City GT.
Arch City GT. Thank you. Is instituting a couple of house rules for this event. One of which is covering Imperial Knights and towering. So towering, you are not allowed to shoot through more than 1 ruin.
No, more than 2.
More than 2 ruins. So you can shoot through a 2, you can't shoot through a 3.
But you can't go from one corner of the table to the other and cross over 4 ruins, So you have to kind of get some eyes on it.
Right. And that's kind of, I accept that. Personally, I think the easiest way around this whole thing would just be you get the towering effect when you're within 12, and I keep advocating that. But I'm glad to see that we at least have something, because one of the big issues with, we've seen multiple times, Desolation Marines, etc., is artillery being too strong. Anything that can shoot out of line of sight tends to be very, very, very powerful across the entire game. And now you give the Imperial Knights the ability to literally, their whole army is basically artillery at that point. Since it's like, oh, can I see you? So now it's a matter of the table, the terrain to make this happen. And I think over time, TOs might be able to build up a bigger collection of terrain to not have to have rules in effect like that. But right now, a lot of the TOs, especially people that are trying to field like 60 player GTs or more, you're looking at 30 plus tables worth of terrain. And now all of a sudden, you have to switch it all up and have all this taller stuff to make it even and balanced. That's a tall order. That's a very tall order. So I accept that we have house rules right now. And I also accept it because I'm not playing Imperial Knights.
Right.
So there's that. And Lane was courteous enough to bring his Knights out here to give a test, because I am thinking about taking Grey Knights after our last matchup. I love how they played the tactical game. There's a lot of thinking with this army. I really like it, as I've said, the cup game of Grey Knights. Here I am, here I'm not, here I am, and the John Cena effect. You can't see me. So I want to play him again. We're going to give it a try, and I get to face down the Imperial Knights. With that all being said, let's jump over and talk about these lists and the Knights you're bringing today.
All right, guys, here is my Imperial Knight army. As you can see, for the most part, they are black and red, so they can go with my Sisters of Battle and with my Death Watch. So the first one I ever painted, he is red and blue. I didn't know what colors to do him, but as allies started picking up in 8th edition, I went with the black and red theme so they could mix in with my other Imperial armies. But for today, we got two Crusaders. One is the blue and red, and one is the black and red. The blue and red one will be the one that has the enhancement on it, the Mysterious Guardian. This allows him to deep strike at the beginning of the battle, and also once per battle, he can pick up at the end of my opponent's turn, and I can bring him in. I can deep strike him in during my movement phase, the next turn. So I probably won't be deep striking this game, but I probably will take advantage at some point. These Grey Knights are going to be jumping around and trying to hide from me and sneaking and poking their heads out. Well, I'm going to have my Imperial Knight at one point jump around and see if I can get the drop on them. So two Crusaders today, both with the rocket pods up top. I also have a Knight Gallant. He has my other enhancement for the army. So this is the Unyielding Paragon enhancement. He's the Punchy Knight, and because he'll be getting into close combat, and because Imperial Knights do not have an invuln in close combat, he has the Unyielding Paragon enhancement that reduces incoming AP by 1. So just make him a little bit more durable if he's getting into any fights with any powerful opponents. In addition to the two big knights, we've got 4 little ones. We've got 2 armatures. Our 2 armature Helvrins. The Helvrins have the stubbers on top, and then we've got 2 the armature Warglaves. I don't actually have the bits on them, but the Warglaves have the melta-guns on top. That's it, guys. That's the whole Imperial Knight army. 1,995 points. DJ, what are you bringing today?
Well, I have a couple more models than Lane does because I'm not playing Imperial Knights, and a lot more infantry. So here is my Grey Knights. Start off, we'll go with my vehicles since Lane told us all about his. Number 1, a Land Raider. Land Raider has definitely seen play now in this edition. Land Raiders are a lot tougher. The guns are a lot more impressive. So I'll be running a Land Raider with some las cannons. Being able to put infantry inside this thing to pop out and to hide and to protect me from artillery is nice. And it's got some damage output that the rest of my army does lack at range. Moving over to my Dreadnought, I have a Venerable Dreadnought just to put another las cannon in there. He was relatively cheap, and he's pretty easy to hide. And last of my vehicles is a Nemesis Dread Knight, not a Grand Master. This guy's coming with a side cannon and a silencer, as well as a hammer. I like these guys a little better because of that advance and charge and fall back and charge and shoot mechanic that they have for their psychic power. Over into my infantry, we have 2 5-man squads of interceptors. These guys all both have a single side cannon in there and are going to help me a lot in the tactical objectives with their Fire of Fade type psychic power. Then we have our 2 5-man strike squads. 2 5-man strike will also have side cannons in them as well. So the strike being able to play on sticky objectives. We'll see if I like the 2 or if I'm going to just go drop this down to 1. Again, this list is not 100% finalized yet, but I really like what the sticky objectives can do off of the strike squad. Moving over into my character units with the infantry. First off, I have my 1 5-man Terminator squad with Banner, Apothecary, Side Cannon, and a Grandmaster with a side cannon. This Grandmaster will also be equipped with a Sigil, so if I get shot at, I can bounce these guys away. And last, we have a 10-man squad of Purifiers, which in most matchups will absolutely shred infantry. That's not going to happen really today. So there is a 10-man squad there, which will be led by Castle and Crow. The nice thing is it is still a 10-man squad, so it will be kind of tough to chew through with the 2-up save. So at least these guys will be able to kind of hold an objective that might see a little more firepower. And yeah, well, that's going to be their job for most of the game. All right, so we covered a lot of the stuff we talk about now. We kind of covered beforehand. We are practicing for our GT in Columbus, and we are going to be doing the first mission out of that mission pack, which we'll cover after we get deployed. And yeah, there is a little bit of a nerf to Imperial Knights. Also, with list design and concepts, I'm going to say this now, there's also an additional nerf with Eldar. The Fate dice count as a modified dice. So that's something that we'll be keeping in mind when we do army constructions and stuff like that, since that's the event that we're going to be going to.
And they also said in the mission packet that they will be using tactical objectives. So I guess you don't have the option of choosing fixed objectives or fixed secondaries throughout the tournament. You're going to have to take tactical every turn. So
right.
It'll be kind of good to prepare by doing it and playing that way.
I think it'll help speed things up. I think it'll just help speed things up because it's not like there is this step within the tactical cards where you put down the cards secretly so your opponent doesn't know if you're doing tactical or fixed, and then you flip them over, and that takes that step out of there. So it'll give us a couple extra seconds to move away from that stuff and let us get stuff on the table. And it's just one less step,
one less decision
before we set the game up.
Right,
yes.
right.
So I am mad at you. I am mad at you. So I think that's basically it, except for one final thing, sir. Odd or even?
Even.
I don't think that counts. I don't think that's, you know what, mister?
Is this the first cocked dice we've
I think
ever
this
had
is
on
the first cocked large dice, so now we go and swing it over to Lane.
All right.
I will declare it.
Call it, sir.
Odd. Hey. All right. So I think, so attacker gets to pick, and then defender deploys first.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be the attacker because I'd like you to start deploying your knights first so I can at least get some sort of idea of where we're going with this.
Sounds good.
All right. We'll be back after deployment. And we are deployed. So in traditional DJ faction, I found a house and hide in it. So, because they don't want to get hit the first turn by these Imperial
Knights. This is the
Knights.
perfect deployment for you because you have 2 houses in your deployment zone to hide.
Yeah, that's right. I got an Airbnb. I got my primary house, and I got a little Airbnb over here.
Little vacation home over here.
Vacation home, yep. So we checked and we looked at some of the line of sight measurements and to see the Land Raider, the Dreadnought, and the Dread Knight are going to be able to hide in here. Now, given the fact of the terrain and what we talked about, this is a 5-inch tall piece of terrain. And even though it has that nice little awning over it, there's hopes that maybe there would at least be that one style of terrain that I would be able to get some line of sight blocking from the Imperial Knights. So at least I'll have that for the if I don't go first. And then over here, I put the Terminators in a similar position. This little hole right here is not there because first floor does block line of sight. It is all closed off, and that is what the tournament will have us doing. So I put the Terminators down there. So there's a lot of plays, whether I go first or second and how I want to do this. If I go second, I can pick the Terminators up and bounce them around the field. Same with the Dread Knight. And the Land Raider can at least just pull out and try and use that Imperial Knight towering effect against it. So that's it for me. Now over here, let's talk about these Imperial Knights. So what is the massive strategy here, Elaine?
Go hard up the middle. You don't have a whole lot of anti-tank shooting. There's some las cannons on the Dreadnought and the Land Raider, but no, I'm not too worried about that. You're going to have superior mobility. You're going to be durable against my shooting because I just got a lot of AP 1-2 shooting, and you're a 2-up armor save. You have your true silver armor strat that you can reduce AP by 1. So I'm just going to start getting on primary objectives as quick as I can and then see what secondaries I pull.
All right, and try and give this the Model I line of sight right here so people can see. Yeah, those knights are actually not able to see any of the guys over there, so that's nice, at least for me, for that protection. All right, so Lane, let's talk about the mission that we're playing today.
Let's talk about it. So our deployment today is Hammer and Anvil. Good old Hammer and Anvil. It's a 5 objective mission. However, when we pulled the mission rule, it was hidden supplies. This is the one where basically, and DJ you can kind of put in the middle here, Hammer and Anvil has an objective in the second or in the center, but hidden supplies has you move the objective 6 inches towards a corner, and then place an extra objective 6 inches in the other direction from the center. So basically, we have an extra objective on here for this. That's our mission special rule today. And then our primary mission. This is the first round at the Arch City GT. It's going to be taking hold. So basically, in starting our second battle round in our command phase, we get 5 points for each objective that we hold. And then, of course, per normal rules, in the 5th battle round, whoever goes second scores at the end of the battle.
Yeah, the only difference from what we had before, what was it, back in 9th edition was the reduction of points, and now it's worth 5 points apiece, but we can score 50 points for the game. So now there's only one thing left to do. Determine who goes first and second. And I really still would like to go second.
Sure. You get to go first again.
I'm not allowed to get what I want. All right, so looks like I will be going first in this tournament, or this tournament. Yes, this is the tournament practice game, our own little primer. And we'll be back after the Grey Knight movement. All right, so we're getting a little aggressive with this. Hopefully I don't get corrected real quick on this one. Not happy I'm going first, but hey, that means I get to hit him first, and maybe I can pick up a knight or at least damage one.
Nah.
Yeah, right. I know. I agree. I agree with Lane there. So I did move the Dreadnought out, and he's got Lane onto this, no pun intended, this Crusader right up the middle. And then I'm putting the one in the, or the Gallant. I'm sorry, the Gallant. Yes, the Gallant. And then I brought the Land Raider out. I brought the Dreadnought out because they get to, the Dreadnought gets an auto advance of 6 and fly, measured up, measured down around the little piece of terrain, and was able to make it out. So I'll have quite a bit of firepower to put on that Gallant to at least try to do some damage to it. Because one of my secondaries is bring it down. So I did, one of my first secondary was to kill a unit on an objective marker, and with these being the only units that Lane has on the objective marker, I really didn't think that was going to happen. So I spent my command point for the turn to shuffle it out, and it just turned me into bring it down. So we're going to try and bring it down, and that's going to be that Crusader right up in the front. The second one was investigate signals. So I did get the strike out of the Land Raider within 9 of this corner, and these Terminators moved over here to 9 inches of that corner. So I'm at least going to be able to score 4 points on that one. But I'm only going to be really holding one objective probably when this is all said and done. So, well, that's about it. We'll come back after the shooting phase and see if I can pick anything up. All right, so a keen eye will note that the Crusader is still there, or the Gallant is still there, which means I didn't kill it. Was able to drop it to only 18 wounds. The Land Raider kind of, sort of, in a lot of ways, flubbed. Yeah, that was basically it. Like, just could not make it happen. Oh, and he missed with his Hunter Killer Missile. Yes, it's 2s to hit, and I missed with the Hunter Killer Missile. Okay, well, I didn't expect to take the Crusader down. I was trying, but it would have had to been really heavy dice in my favor, and super, super needed to have that happen. But that's okay. I will, however, be able to score 4 points on my secondary because I do have the 2 corners that I will scan for the turn. And I will discard, bring it down to gain a command point, and then hand it over to Lane.
All right, guys. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the game, I chose for my code chivalric the Lalo the Tyrant. So my whole army rerolls hit rolls and wound rolls of 1. And then if I kill the enemy warlord, then we become honored. I know there is some disagreement about how that's worded, the rerolling hit rolls of 1. Some people think it should only be 1. I think we're going with it. All hit rolls and wound rolls of 1 will be rerolled.
Go with worst case scenario. That's fine.
Well, in the way it's worded, GW has never worded something before where you could only reroll 1 hit roll, and it was a hit roll of 1. You know, in the past, if you reroll 1 roll, they wouldn't say it would be a hit roll of 1. They'd say you get to reroll 1.
That's very true.
Hit roll or 1 wound roll. They didn't say. They wouldn't limit it to only 1, and then it only had to be the number 1. So I think it makes more sense. Hopefully we get some clarification on that soon, though. So I moved up. I want to kill things. The secondaries I drew this turn are no prisoners. So I'm getting 2 points for each unit I kill. It doesn't matter what kind of unit. Unlike old no prisoners used to be infantry, this is just each time I kill a unit, I get 2 points up to a maximum of 5 for the turn. And my other one was area denial. So I advanced this Gallant up into the middle. He's not going to be able to charge, but I advanced him onto the middle so that I can score that. I did have to spend a CP to reroll my advance on him, but the 5 on that get him in there, so he's there. So I'm going to do some shooting, and we'll come back in a minute and see what I pick up. While you may think that I killed the strike squad guys over there, I did not. They ran away from me because I got within 9 inches of them. And remember, Grey Knights have all the movement shenanigans. So anything that you do, they will respond by running away or jumping around somewhere. So they just ran away. I put a whole bunch of fire into this Nemesis Dread Knight. DJ knew he was going to get shot a lot, so he put the True Silver armor on him. So he was reducing AP by 1. Unfortunately, most of my army is AP 1 or 2. So he was getting 2-up saves because I was shooting, giving him both cover and True Silver armor. So he's still there with 3 wounds left. I did pick up the regular Dreadnought that was over there. We put some shots in him. We took care of him with the Helvin autocannons. So on my secondaries for no prisoners, I only got 1 unit. So I get 2 points for that. But I did get area denial by moving into the middle here. So I can get 5 points for that. On to DJ's turn.
All right. So the secondaries I'm looking at for this turn are going to be Assassinate and one of the, I can't remember the name of it. It's defending my home field objective marker. So we'll see how this all plays out. So I brought in a little bit of reserves. I have my Shrike that landed over here, the ones that ran away with Mist of Deimos, and the Interceptors came in. I'm going to try and move block over here in the corner so that to prevent that Armiger from completely jumping up on this objective next turn. Over here, the Crusader tried to overwatch me. It got scary, but the Dread Knight is still around, so he's going to try and hopefully be able to finish off that Crusader. We'll see how that goes into the combat stuff. I'm going to need to tank shock him for some damage. Then over here, the Strike and the Terminators came back down, and they're going to try and mess with that Armiger. We'll see how it plays out. I'm going to have to stick a 9-inch charge over there and really won't have the command points to re-roll it. The Land Raider, he's got some decisions. I think he's going to go right at the center and probably pick on that Crusader to do a little bit of damage. But yeah, I think that's where I need to do it because I think that Crusader's got to go right now. So quick pan across the table. We were able to do a little bit of damage, drop that Armiger down to 9 wounds with all the Psy Cannons, mostly from the Terminators. Land Raider was able to land a shot home against the Crusader and drop 2 shots home against him, dropping him down to 10 wounds, and then the Knight got a silencer round through to get him down to 9, so hopefully we can pick him up in combat when we charge. And then over here, I use the Interceptor's Psychic Power to move after they shot to kind of block up this lane so that the Armiger isn't able to move through and kind of just do a little move blocking. We'll see how that works out for me in the long run of it. Was able to do a little bit of work to that Armiger, drop him down to 8, but nothing too immaculate. So we're going to get over and do some charges and see how this plays out for me. Appropriate time to say, got him. So that tank shock on the Dread Knight still being huge, still the main reason I take him with the hammer. It's so insane. I got all my damage off the tank shock and was able to drop the Crusader, which got me 5 points for Assassinate because it is a character.
Explain how that works one time so people understand what just happened. You didn't even have to swing in combat.
Yeah, I didn't. So the Dread Knight is a vehicle, and hit that hammer is strength 14. The Knight that was here is toughness 12. So I get 14 dice. I get 1 dice for each point of strength that the weapon has that I select. Then I get an additional 2 dice for if I am stronger than the unit's toughness. So I got 16 dice, and any rolls of 5 or better cause a mortal wound. So it was a hot roll, and I got 9 out of 16. That's actually really high.
That's a really
Now that I say those numbers out loud,
spicy meatball. You got more than 50% on it.
Now the bonus,
33%.
The bonus in this was, had I not done that, I still would have gotten to attack with my hammer to finish him off, which more than likely would have been where it's at. And so yeah, we're going to call that a turn. All these guys failed their charges, but where I needed mattered. Dread Knight, you did good. See you next game. All right, over to Lane.
No, I did not kill the Nemesis Dread Knight. As I have said, the Grey Knights have all the movement shenanigans because I moved within 9 inches of him.
At the speed of an instant.
DJ was able to teleport him away into the ether, and he's gone. He'll come back later, I guess, but not during this turn when I have pulled Bring It Down. So Grey Knights are very frustrating because they just poof in and out all the time. So I scooched this Helverin up here so he actually can see around the terrain and get eyes on the Land Raider. I did my missions or my secondaries this turn are Bring It Down and Extend Battle Lines. Extend Battle Lines is super easy. Just hold 1 in my deployment zone and hold 1 in no man's land, no problem. And then Bring It Down. So we're going to see if we can pop this Land Raider.
And you also started the turn with a 15 on primary.
No, I did, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
That's good.
Yep.
That makes me feel better. And I'm going to kill some Grey Knights and see how that makes me feel. Okay, so here's what happened. We shot. The Helverins shot into the strikes. Were they strikes? Interceptors?
Strike squad. Strike squad.
They're gone. Picked off one of these guys with some little sporadic stubber fire. Ace this squad with the Avenger Gatling cannon.
Oh yeah, you did.
And then we put some fire on him. He was true silver armor, so he's tough to wound, tough to get any armor through. But he's down to 6, so I'm not going to pick up Bring Him Down this turn.
Yay!
But I'm going to do some charging. DJ, do you know what I'm going to do?
Tank shock.
I'm going to tank shock you, sir. Oh, I'm going to tank shock these little guys. Guys, I thought I was being all smart and doing the tank shock on these Terminators. You'll notice my Armiger is not there anymore. On tank shock, I got to roll 10 dice. No, it was 12 dice. Yeah, and 5 up scored a mortal, so I only rolled 5 up. So I did 1 mortal. And then the Armiger whiffed, and DJ made his invuln save. So I didn't kill any Terminators, and they killed me, and then he took this objective, and I don't like that at all.
Because I'm objective control 3 on the Terminators.
For some reason. So that's more than my objective control 10 Big Knight. And now he can come and kill this Big Knight this turn, too. So that's really it. I picked up 1 or 2 of these little strike guys. I guess he's going to need to do a battle shock test for me there.
Yep. And I'm not allowed to leave the table because they're in engagement range.
And that's it. So the only thing I did was extend battle line. So I got 5 points for that, but I did not score anything for Bring It Down. On to DJ, sir.
All right, guys, let's play some Warhammer. This is what I'm looking at. So I brought the Dread Knight back in. Lane tried to overwatch my Interceptors with his Crusader and almost got him. One guy left alive.
I need to stop spending CP on Overwatch because we don't get very much CP in this game now.
So I did, into that testament, I did spend my command point, which we'll get over to that later. That 1 CP dice is not there. The Dread Knight came back in there. We're going to try and pick on this Armiger over here, see if we can't get lucky and pick him up. Land Raider moved up to center to take that central objective, and he's going to put some shots into the Crusader in the middle because this Crusader has to die. Speaking of why the Crusader has to die, we have tempting target and capture enemy outposts. So I'm trying to control more objective markers than my opponent, which I basically have that right now. If I were to stop the turn, I score that right now. But we're not going to. We're going to do some damage and do some work. The Terminators moved off because they have a higher objective control value, so they're going to try and charge in to steal that if I can't take the Knight down. And my Purifiers, I spent my 1 command point to bring them down within 3 inches so I could take that objective back. With Crow being in there, that gives me more, so I am able to go over the 10 and take that objective marker back, try and reduce how many primaries Lane gets into his turn. So that's going to be it. We're going to do some shooting. Wish me luck, guys. All right, so I can't read. We'll talk about that in a second. So I was able to get in here and beat this Crusader up real good on that charge. Baby. Got him down to 4. The lethal hit's helping out there to make sure to force through because of the charge on the regular Termies. And that was it for my charges. So I'm going to score the, what was it, 5 or was it 6? On the
5.
It was 5. I scored the 5 points because I did get that tempting target. Problem is I can't read. And I thought the secondary had said hold more objectives than your opponent. No, it was hold more objectives in your opponent's deployment zone. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. The only issue with this is that I probably wouldn't have fanned out as much as I did in this and present as many targets, but we'll see. I mean, I was able to make pretty good impact on Lane's army and some of the Crusaders. I'm just concerned that right now he does hold that Bring It Down, and 2 of my vehicles are in a real soft position where they can get beat up real well. So, all right, let's see how this goes.
Not a whole lot of moving here. We're just going to stay where we're at. My secondaries are this turn. I kept Bring It Down from last turn. I hope to pop that on both the Land Raider and the Nemesis Dread Knight. And then I picked behind enemy lines. Not going to be able to do anything there. I don't want to spend the CP to discard it. I'm just going to hang out here and see what I can kill. This Knight stayed right here in combat. He's going to shoot into these Terminators, hopefully pick a couple of them up. And then he is going to either shoot the guys right in front of him or maybe knock DJ off his home objective. And then we've got targets over here. This Dread Knight only has 3 wounds left. I couldn't get closer to him for a charge because for 1 CP, DJ can pick him up and run away if I move within 9 inches of him. So we're just going to stay right there and hopefully shoot him. All right, I'm going to do some shooting, and we'll come back in a second. Shot a few guys here and there. Did pick up those Interceptors that were on there.
Yep.
Did pick up the Nemesis Dread Knight finally. Didn't have enough to put into the Land Raider. So the Land Raider is still there. Shooting from this Knight into the Terminators didn't go very far. Picked up 1 of the Terminators. So made a little difference. And then we've just scraped a few wounds off these. It's really difficult. As I mentioned before, DJ's entire army is a 2-up save. And as soon as you get cover, and most of my attacks are AP1, AP2. So he's mostly rolling 2-ups the whole time. So I'm going to charge these guys because if I don't charge them, if I'm not in the engagement range, they can just come off the table for free and deep strike back on that objective there. So at the very least, I can maybe tank shock one or two. The tank shock failed last time. We'll see what it does this time. I believe, guys, that this time the tank shock will be a success. My dice have not been great this game, except for this very moment after DJ's Purifiers in combat did 4 wounds to my my Imperial Knight. I rolled for my Feel No Pains, and I got 6. All 4 of them were 6s, so that was nice. What was not nice is that this night...
Wow, you said so unenthusiastically there, man. Like, oh, I just got 6s. I just rolled them.
I still lost this night. Like, this night is not here anymore. There's a big open space where there used to be a knight. Didn't even do me the courtesy of exploding, so you can pick up a couple Terminators. But no, we did, through tank shock, picked up 2 of these Purifiers, and then in combat picked up another 2. So actually, it wasn't too bad. It did do some work, and as I said, now they can't jump away. And this turn, that's it. That's it for my turn. I just scored for Bring It Down for the 1 Nemesis Dread Knight, and I did not do Behind Enemy Lines. I will probably discard that for a command point. All right, to DJ.
All right, so my entire turn summed up not for a whole lot of damage, but we did score some points. So I got a 15 on primary. Land Raider dropped back, took shots downwind at the Crusader, and failed to wound with all of its las cannons. That was disappointing. Purifiers fell back, and just because one of my secondaries was engaged on all fronts. And then over here, the Terminators charged in and left him with 2 wounds left. Needed to drop him to prevent Lane from scoring a 15 on primary this turn. So he's going to get a 15 on primary. I also got a 15 on primary and was able to get 3 points on engage, as well as 5 on, what was it called? What's that one called? In extend battle lines. So not a bad turn, but I still feel like, I haven't looked at the score, but I feel like Lane still has a pretty decent lead on me. So we'll see this in the bottom of 4.
Any movement phase is great. It's so nerve-wracking because I never know when somebody's going to disappear when I want to try to kill him. It makes charging him very difficult. Now, I did move this Armiger Warglaive up here. DJ could have jumped this guy away, this little interceptor, but he didn't. He kept him there. I moved him up to take the objective and just hopefully put some heat on this Land Raider, maybe finally get rid of him. This Armiger kind of positioned himself so that he can see the Purifiers without any obscuring or intervening terrain, so they won't get cover. This Armiger stayed right here. This big boy stayed right here. And now we're going to do some shooting and see if we can make some things go away. My secondaries for this game are secure no man's land. So I'm trying to get 2 or more objectives in no man's land. And then assassinate. I'm trying to kill somebody. Okay, so good news is we picked up assassinate. We're able to shoot this squad and Castellan Crow with the Helvrins.
How's that good news? Poor Castellan Crow. He didn't do anything to anybody.
Apparently he did something wrong because the Imperial Knights were very angry. This Imperial Knight used the stratagem to give him +1 to wound against the monster vehicle. We put it all into the Land Raider, but still with the True Silver Armor reducing AP by 1, I got him down to a single wound, though. So it wasn't enough to pick him off there. We'll make him take a battle shock test, though. And then these Terminators in here were able to pick up the Helvrin that only had 2 wounds left on it. So that's it for my turn. I scored both of my secondaries. I did secure no man's land, and I did assassinate, so I get 10 points there. Strong turn for me. On to DJ. I know I promised you guys I wasn't going to fire Overwatch anymore, but that Land Raider only had 1 wound left. So I used the Crusader here. I fired Overwatch. I only got a couple hits, and of course he made his saves.
And guess what? The Land Raider still has 1 wound left.
Land Raider is still there. I spent that CP. Oh well, DJ, tell them what you did.
So my secondaries are Area Denial and Secure No Man's Land. So I'm going to try and pick up those. I scored a 10 on primary, so it doesn't matter with anything else. So my goal is going to be get that Armiger and try and hold these 2 objectives and clear No Man's Land for some last-minute points and see what we can do and see how the score breaks out. So, all right, let's see how this. Let's see if I get lucky. So afterwards, Lane let me know that I actually had to be wholly within 6 inches of center for Area Denial. I did have plenty of move to do it. I was just stringing back for other stuff. So we fixed that, and then we moved on to the shooting, and bam, Land Raider by himself with his las cannons picked up the Armiger, nice and easy. So that's going to call a turn for me. I will score my area denial, and I will also get secured no man's land. So that's going to be quite a bit of points there. We're going to move over to Lane, where he's going to probably pick up that Land Raider finally now, just out of spite. And we'll see what secondaries he gets to score out to end the game.
Well, that's kind of boring. Nothing has changed since the last time we looked at this table. I pulled, so there was a bit of drama with me pulling my secondaries this turn. I got Defense Stronghold, which is all right. I just had to hold this either to my opponent's next turn or the end of the next battle round, or the end of the battle, and I got 3 points for doing that. The other one I couldn't score, so I spent my 1 CP to pull a different one, and I pulled Engage in All Fronts, and the Engage in All Fronts mission, or secondary, lets you discard that and pull another if you have only 1 or 2 qualifying units left on the table. I only have the Armiger and the Crusader on the table, so I discarded that one and pulled another one, which is Investigate Signals, which is getting to the corners, which I didn't have the room to do. But I cycled through a couple cards there. Basically, I scored 10 points for holding 2 objectives at the end of the 5th battle round because I went second, and I got 3 extra points here. I also put a bunch of shots into the Land Raider, hoping to kill it.
Out of spite.
DJ did not do me the service.
Heck no. Land Raider survives.
Not popping.
Land Raider made it till the end of the game.
So Land Raider's still there. That's a bummer. But in the end, the score is extremely close, guys. DJ and the Grey Knights had 82. Lane and the Imperial Knights were 84. So an Imperial Knight win. Very, very, very close game, obviously. A lot of fun here today. So, all right, guys, follow us over to the post game where we'll talk a little bit about how things went today. All right, see you there.